Hey, Vaughn here. We're back with another casual video. The unspeakable horrors of the deep sea. Featuring, now that gotta be LindsayNikole. It gotta be. Anyway, look, even if I said it wrong, that's just the name. I'm too embarrassed to change it. Anyway, now let's be real here. There's always a debate. Which is scarier, space or the ocean? It's hard to say space because a lot of people don't even believe we went to the moon or there's anything more than us out there. So it's hard to say space, but there's one thing for sure. There's something down in that ocean. You know, it's the simple fact that certain creatures down there can just survive under no light, that much pressure. The fact that they could just live down there is insane itself. And they keep saying we only discover 5% of the Earth. I'm pretty sure that's inaccurate now. I'm pretty sure we discovered at least 6%, right? Like, come on, bro. We've been saying 5% since like 2005. Like, come on, bro. We gotta at least discover like 6%, 7, 8. Like, come on, bro. But in the debate of which is scarier, space or the ocean. Okay, let's just say, because I know a lot of people, like, there's some people don't even believe, like, we've been to the moon or there's anything out in space beyond Earth. So let's say hypothetically there is and we know it is. Which would be scarier, that or the, I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna say space. Because if you can live out in space, I don't give a damn what's in that ocean. There's nothing more scarier than what's out there in space. I don't give a damn what kind of fish is out there. There's no way it's something scarier than something in space. But enough of my rambling. That's not why we're here. We're here to watch this great video. So, with that being said, if you're new, like, comment, subscribe, and if you're not new, you just keep coming back. Subscriber, what are you doing? Let's get into it.
You've probably heard me say that I'd rather eat 10 pounds of Popeye's biscuits with no drink than ever go out into the ocean.
I don't know about that. That'll take you out. I don't know about that, casual. That'll take you out.
I'd rather eat 10 pounds of Popeye's biscuits with no drink than ever go out into the ocean.
Yeah, that'll take you out. You don't know how dry your mouth be after one? It take all the moisture out, all the saliva you use to break down food. It just suck it all up. It absorbs it all. Leave you with nothing, just trying to locate spit. There's nothing there.
Well, I'd rather ride cross country on a bike with a hot grill for a seat than spend half a second in the deep sea. There's a lot of living nightmares and paralysis demons come to life if you sink
just
deep
chilling.
enough.
That is
And
just
the
chilling.
Megalodon is not one of them. You'll often hear this thing about how the prehistoric apex predator never got discontinued. It's just chilling a step above hell in the abyss. This is cap. For actually three good reasons. One, there just isn't enough food to sustain a 60-foot you to the natural order. Two, if nature did keep the same jumbo jaws that peaked in the Pliocene, we at least would have seen a body by now. And number three, why do y'all want this to be alive so bad? I promise you there's way worse things down there. Like, I would evacuate my bowels if I ever saw a giga great white shark. But put me in front of a T-posing squid and I'm shitting more bricks than the entire city of Newark. The big fin squid is easily one of the most disturbing things alive as I'm saying this. It's a T-posing predator with
that look
arms
like an
estimated
alien,
to
boy.
max
What
out
the-
at just under 30 feet. Scientists believe the big fin catches bodies by dragging those arms, which can be easily 20 times its own body length, along the ocean floor like trawling nets and feeding on whatever poor soul accidentally bumps into them. You're gonna hear me say believe or we think a lot, and that's because we don't know a whole lot about them. Almost every sighting and virtually every specimen studied were either juveniles or paralarvae. We have no way of knowing exactly what their final form could look like. For all we know, this could be Junior, and we just haven't seen Mama Big Fin yet. Who would have thought that just putting elbows on a squid would instantly turn it into the spawn of Satan? Oh, and if you thought the Big Fin was just this slow, passive floating predator, then you're seriously underestimating the ocean's ability to massacre your mental health. And if you're curious, this video was taken about 7,000 feet down in the Gulf of Mexico. But considering they're believed to be the deepest living squids at about 20,000 feet, I have a theory. This is a juvenile, and the big boys.
Okay, wait. What is the furthest we've been down? I feel like what's the furthest we've been down? Cause I remember I used to hear about all these records getting broken by people going down in a submarine. I feel like by now we should have some type of something that can go down there, like hella down there, bro.
Are the one shack ended up down in the crotch of the ocean. But good news, the big fin probably only feeds on small fish and crustaceans. Bad news, There are squids big enough to beef with the biggest predators on the planet. And the biggest predator on the planet that isn't a disgraced former YouTuber is the sperm whale, which on its own would have to be one of the most traumatizing things to witness during their 2-hour hunting expeditions down in the deep sea. Well, the tankiest carnivore on Earth regularly runs fades with the giant squid. And by giant, we're talking about calamari growing to an estimated 40 feet long. Not only are they themselves predators that hunt using 20-foot tentacles, they're opportunistic cannibals that would 100% murk their entire family reunion for some calories. Now, nature high-key screwed up their character design. They have a donut-shaped brain and an esophagus running through it, meaning if they swallow something big enough, not only do they run the risk of choking to a flatline, they can also factory reset their entire personality through severe brain damage. Which is why they mitigate this by shredding their victims with a razor-sharp beak and what is essentially a tongue with teeth, the radula. That beak is such a weapon that you'll rarely see a sperm whale that hasn't been tattooed during a struggle with a giant squid. And while the plus-size cephalopod usually loses in a war with the whale, they do not make it easy. But the most disturbing thing about them is that eye. Giant squids have the most physically imposing eye in nature, with it being roughly the size of a soccer ball. Contrary to popular belief, huge eyes don't exactly help it see further, but it does mean they're terrifyingly good at noticing objects giving off their own light, which is a lifesaver since when their biggest optosperm whale is on the hunt, modern-day Leviathan disturbs glowing creatures like jellyfish and crustaceans who flash in response. Having eyes as big as our heads means the giant squid can detect and use those flashes to avoid becoming a corpse. But that also means that if you ever go swimming in the Giga Squid's area code, the flashes you'd create mean that while you might not see it, the same animal that does its own kind dirty would know exactly where you are. And honestly, there's only one thing that could be worse than getting stalked by a school bus-sized headfoot. There's another squid with hunting tactics so spiritually upsetting, I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm going to go ahead and use a lifeline.
The Humboldt squid, also known as the red devil. I'm Lindsay, by the way. Hi. Humboldt squid are found in the eastern Pacific.
You're Lindsay. I don't give a f. I had a feeling it was Lindsay, but I'm like, bro, it would be so fire if her name was Lindsay. Come on, bro, let me just call her Lindsay. Like, I know when at the beginning of the video, that was like, dickhead is Lindsay. But like, come on, bro. Like, come on, bro. Let me just call her Lindsay, bro.
Pacific Ocean, typically between 600 to 2,300 feet below the surface of the ocean. And their nickname comes from the way they use their pigment cells called chromatophores to communicate. You're probably familiar with chromatophores through videos of different cephalopods using them to change color, blending into their surroundings, and even dreaming. And Humboldt squid notably use them to turn bright red when they're aggravated, hence the nickname Red Devil. It's very on brand. They're also extremely predatory and have been known to act aggressively towards scuba divers on rare occasion, which becomes a bit more terrifying when hold on. Aggressively towards scuba divers on.
Why are you even messing with it in the first place?
They're also extremely predatory and have been known to act aggressively towards scuba divers on rare occasion, which becomes a bit more terrifying when I tell you that they can get to 8 feet long and 100 pounds. Now you might be thinking, Lindsay, that is not that big. What about the giant squid and the colossal?
Nah, that's taller than me by like 2 feet, maybe 3. Yeah, that's taller than me by, well, nah, like 2 feet and a half. Oh, wait, I'm 5'8". Yeah, that's taller than me by 2 feet, 3 inches. Yeah, about 2 feet, 3, 4 inches. Nah, that's pretty tall.
Squid that can both get to like 40 feet long. Well, I haven't told you the best part yet. The Humboldt squid is known to live and hunt in groups of up to 10, no, up to 100, no, 1,000, yes, in groups of.
How the hell? Why you need 1,000?
Over 1,000. They
rolling like ants.
Squid. That's about 990 too many if you ask me. While hunting in these groups, they use their chromatophores to communicate with each other, coordinating movements and attacks, allowing them to take down larger prey, dragging them into the depths until they go unconscious. Scientists have identified some of these communication patterns, as you can see in this little chart, but still don't know exactly what any of them mean. But regardless, that sounds like one of the worst ways to be unalived in the ocean. Oh wait, this isn't a TikTok collaboration. That sounds like one of the worst ways to die in the ocean.
So as you can see, whether it's being confronted by a Humboldt block party or squaring
like
up
me,
with
I'm surviving.
Kraken, there are many aspects of the deep sea that end up with you putting your therapist up a tax bracket. And a lot of that's because of this cute little thing known as deep sea gigantism. The idea that the cold temperature, the dissolved oxygen, and the lack of...
You in the ocean, you see... No, matter of fact, why are you in the ocean anyway? No, okay, look, I'm gonna rephrase that. You're on the beach. Anywhere, you're on the beach in Florida, you're on the beach in Texas, wherever there's a beach, and this just washes up ashore. What do? I don't know what everybody go to. Everybody pulling their phone now. What the fuck is it?
Some animals to escalate to the biggest
That's the
and
world we
most
live in now.
terrifying versions
Everybody's
of
gonna pull their
themselves.
phone out.
Exhibit
What
A,
the fuck is it?
Japanese spider crab, which can measure 12 feet across from claw to claw and weigh as much as a
That's,
human toddler. Only thing worse than a giant
Dang, what's
spider
that thing
crab
from the Godzilla
is a
movies?
giant crab spider. This is an Antarctic sea spider, a dinner plate-sized demon spawn that hunts by sucking the life out of its prey through its proboscis.
Bro.
Now, technically, they're not actual spiders, but also I imagine most people watching technically don't give a f, especially since this one looks like it identifies as a face hugger. Then there's a giant isopod, which is essentially an aquatic cockroach big enough to be cradled like a baby. No clue why you would though. And if you're looking for a truly supersized animal crossing, the oarfish should be on your list. The giant oarfish can grow to well over 30 feet long, and there have even been claims of those in the neighborhood.
The dude at the end, bro, get your
that
shit
back in the
together.
day when
You
we had
can't be
stories
just
about sea monsters, they weren't lying, they just didn't have all the names yet. Also, if you caught that pun earlier, we're friends now. But with deep sea gigantism and the endless expanse of ocean acting as a
ain't
canvas
hear
for
it. My
shaped
dumb
out
ass
of
probably
practice art,
talking.
if you dive deep enough, there be monsters. For example, this isn't an animal. It's a group of animals joined
Yeah, I already
together in
knew.
something
I'm
like
like,
a
bro.
hive mind. So we're not talking about it.
A big ass
We're
orgy.
talking about them. And sophonophores like this come in many forms. Like the Portuguese man of war armed with venom to ensure that the excruciating experience of meeting one is permanently etched into your brain. And there's a Priodubia, a giant sophonophore that can flex a total length of up to 160 feet. And even though it's a collective group of
Damn.
tiny animals, its length could humble a blue whale, making it technically the longest creature on the planet. Or at best, a modest second, since the bootlace ribbon worm has been reported to reach 180 feet in length. And it's toxic because the ocean, and of course it is, with nasty smelling mucus potent enough to life deprive the crabs it likes to eat. Like I said, whether it's Lucifer's tapeworm or a flying spaghetti creature, there be monsters. And it gets so much worse than a giant worm, because as terrifying as a deep sea is, it's also nasty. And there might not be anything more repulsive than the hagfish. This loogie linguini feeds on the rotting corpses and carcasses that sink down into its domain. And since they don't have any actual teeth, the graveyard guppy feeds by sliding into an opening and eating the decomposing body from the inside out. And you would think that something that eats like a casket wouldn't have to worry about getting put on a plate itself. Again, you're giving the ocean too much credit. As self-defense, the hagfish will sweat buckets of slime, a phlegm jacket that's thick enough to clog the gills of anything hungry enough to F around and unlucky enough to find out. To the point where this is the end game of a truck transporting hagfish on the highway, crashing. Now, you've definitely seen this picture before, but have you ever stopped and asked yourself what they were doing there in the first place? You remember how I said nothing that eats like a hagfish should ever have to worry about getting eaten? Well, simple. For these hagfish, their final destination were dinner plates in Asian countries such as South Korea, where they're considered a delicacy. Now, I'm not one to judge other cultures, but we seem to have a habit of constantly trying to eat all the things nature went out of its way to tell us not to. But one thing you won't see as a main course is something ironically named after a fruit. The sea cucumber is like the hagfish in that its meal prep consists of all the things we normally flush, burn, or bury. All the soul evacuated bodies that sink down to the ocean floor instantly get put on the cucumber's grocery list. It's a literal bottom feeder, and I mean that since they'll also make a meal out of feces. But like with vultures, if Thanos had beef with sea cucumbers, the world would become an infinitely more disgusting place. That's not the only way sea cucumbers contribute to society. They're also often used as a protective bunker for fish and, well, let's just say they break in through the back door. Oh yeah, it's a violation of the highest natural order. It gets worse when a pearl
That gotta
decides
be
to have a
assault.
plate right next to its prostate. I don't even know if they have a prostate, but you get what I mean. And if that makes you uncomfortable, here's an ad to give you time to mentally prepare for what's next. This adorable little guy is known as a basket star. It's a type of brittle star and an echinoderm, which actually makes it a close cousin of the sea cucumber. If you ever learned about fractals in geometry, then that's why the
Bro,
repeating
what
pattern
am
of
I
branching
looking
arms
at?
might look familiar. It's also why the US is really wasting $20 billion a year looking into space, because the real ET is happening right here. Because
Man,
of the
what
unsightly
the-
way basket stars get from A to B, they've also earned the nickname sea snakes. I feel itchy all of a sudden. However, even though it looks like something Lucifer would use to pleasure himself, they eat mostly zooplankton and are pretty much harmless for the most part. And honestly, that pretty much describes 80% of the nonsense in the deep sea, only really harmful to your peace of mind. Like take the frilled shark. Having been around for 80-something million years, not only is the frilled shark a living fossil, it's likely nature's rough draft
Bro,
beta version
the
of sharks
hell is
today.
this?
Also, don't let this video fool you. They can grow to a respectable 6 feet long. Also, they can be
Why
pregnant
is it
for
taller
3
than me?
1/2 years, which honestly makes about as much sense as everything else down there. And in terms of your mental health, the frilled shark is pretty harmless until you look them in the mouth. The devil's fleshlight has hundreds of needle-like teeth to ensure that anything that gets caught in there doesn't get a second chance to pursue happiness. And for a shark that's been around long enough to have attended Saturn's wedding, I don't know why, but every picture of them looks like they're struggling with their own existence. Like I said though, they're not a threat to humans. But like I also said, therapy ain't cheap, so if you don't want to end up on a couch, don't look a frilled shark in the mouth. But yeah, you'd be surprised at just how many types of sharks you'll find in the same neighborhood SpongeBob got stranded in that one time. You have 20-foot sleeper sharks that are somehow able to use stealth to just spawn and inhale sustenance like a water Kirby. Speaking of sleepers, in 2015, a Pacific sleeper was reported in the Solomons Island. Why is that important? Well, its home address was right under an active volcano, proving that if any animal had plot armor, it'd be sharks. Then you have the ghost shark, which, okay, yep, you got me, isn't an actual shark, it's a close cousin known as a chimera. The ghost part though, that's on brand. They kind of remind me of the dry bones fish from Mario. The ghost Nada shark doesn't even have the teeth you'd expect it to have, but instead they have plates that they use to grind up food. But since nature's constantly overcompensating, chimeras do have venomous spines that are harmful to more than just your mental well-being. But by far the weirdest thing about them, chimeras have a tenaculum on their forehead. A tenaculum is a reproductive organ, meaning this fish has on his forehead. Venom and that aside, this fish fresh out of Tim Burton's Wet Dream is actually pretty cool looking. And I'm just gonna say it, I think they're cute, and I'm perfectly fine with standing on that hill alone. However, I don't think you'll find a single soul on this next shark's hill.
Feast your eyes on the goblin shark, a demon dog-looking fish with a mouth that snaps like nobody's business. They're rarely seen, but are known to live in oceans all around the world, at depths of up to 4,200 feet below the surface of the ocean, and are estimated to get to 18 feet long, which is really big for a deep-sea shark. You might have seen videos online of their jaws just fully ejecting from their brain case in a process called slingshot feeding. It's kind of what they're known for. Their upper and lower jaws lunge forward away from the skull, engulfing their prey. I know it probably seems ridiculous and almost alien, but it's actually not uncommon. Most fishes have jaws that aren't entirely attached. One might argue that the goblin shark is the most extreme example of this look, until you see a video of the sling jaw wrasse, who use suction feeding to snatch up their prey. They look like
that man's mouth is a vacuum.
Goblin sharks have a particularly long snout, and it's not for nothing. They have sensory structures, pores all over it that help them locate their prey, like squid, fish, and crustaceans. And I am personally grateful I am not a squid, fish, or crustacean.
Yeah, goblin's the right word for the only shark in the world with a receding gum line. But you gotta admit, yeeting your own jaw to catch calories is pretty metal, and you're gonna find that a lot of the creatures rolling in it deep have evolved some of the most creative ways of bagging groceries. Probably the most popular is the fish that nearly turned Nemo into an orphan. The anglerfish has two defining personality traits. And
I only know it because of that little
fishing lure hanging right in front of those life-canceling jaws. That light actually comes from bioluminescent bacteria shacking up inside a modified fin. So when a bite-sized light work swims up to the light thinking it just cops some easy protein, the angler ensures that some fish out there never sees its father again. The other thing anglerfish got clout for is their mating habits. I'm not gonna get into it, just know that if your marriage looks anything like theirs, you're gonna need both a divorce and a restraining order. And you know what? Intensive therapy on top of that, extra-friggin-diciously. Nemo's paralysis demon isn't the only deep-sea creature to weaponize light. This distinguished gentleman is known as a stoplight loosejaw, and its defining trait is that it uses a red light to hunt, which turns out to be a massive cheat code, since the longer the wavelength of a color, the less energy that wavelength has, and the faster it gets absorbed by water. And since the color red has the longest wavelength,
I don't know what it is.
It's the first one to get absorbed. This is why red light can't reach the deep sea.
I'm not going to anything red. Red light, am I walking into it?
Which makes it easier for them to hide from predatory smoke. But with the stoplight using red as a searchlight, it's pretty much cracked at this version of hide and seek. Not to mention, since most of the life down there can't even see red, it's able to catch bodies while also not giving up its location to predators or the prey it packs up. This fish really evolved a whole wall hack and a real-life invisibility cloak. Tell me that ain't crazy. And that freakish overbite ensures that once prey is found, it's lost forever. But why hunt prey when you could just sit and wait for it to come to you? That's the entire playbook for the deep sea lizardfish. Just look at that smile. You know he's on nefarious timing. And at over 2 feet long, they earned the title of being one of the premier apex predators of the deep sea. As a habitual camper, they lie waiting for life to pass them by before they lunge and use hypodermic needles for teeth to cancel it. And with apex standing for anyone providing smoke gets extinguished, lizardfish don't hesitate to turn their own kind into coffin fodder. And with the whole point of those teeth being to hold struggling, panicking prey in place, they make sure they don't live long enough to learn from their mistake. But as much of a therapy bill this gecko
that is a creepy ass look.
It might not even be the worst headshot in the ocean. Not as long as this is still a factor. I don't know anyone who would waste the oxygen trying to defend this.
I would. Face only a mother could love. Well, then maybe he is my son. This is the deep sea telescope fish, one of the most stunning creatures of the deep tropical oceans. They're found at depths of about 1,600 to 6,600 feet below the surface of the ocean. I can't say that normally. Surface of the ocean. And like you'll see if you look up photos of them online, they are often photographed at unfortunate angles that don't do them any justice. They orient themselves upwards, hanging out vertically in the water column, as they use their specially adapted eyes to hunt for the silhouettes of their prey. There are two species of telescope fish, Gigantura indica and Gigantura chuni. Don't be fooled by their genus name, which makes them sound like they're gigantic. That is not the case at all. Indica only gets to about 8 inches long, and chuni a measly 6. They are just little guys. Gigantura actually translates to big tail. Specifically,
6 is enough? I don't know what you're talking about.
If they happen to latch onto a snack that's a bit bigger than their own size, that's no problem at all. They underwent a series of skeletal reductions that allow for more room to just fold it in half. That's right. They are expert folders. In 1925, scientists found a 5.5-inch long viper fish inside the stomach of a 3-inch long telescope fish. They described it as neatly folded, an incredible quality possessed by the lovely telescope fish.
Yeah, I'm sure if we gave it Blistex and a hairline restoration
Bro,
surgery, he'd be
it'll look like somebody to me.
That being said, there's a lot of pretty dope things just chilling in the
Need to
deep. Take the barrel-eyed fish, the fish with a transparent head that means it can spot ops or prey directly above it, thanks to those two green gummy-looking orbs that are actually its eyes.
This is by far, out of everything we've seen, I don't give a, this is by far the coolest one. I don't give a fuck. This is cool as shit. Like, nah, it's freaky, weird, but it is the coolest shit I've ever seen.
Or the ultra-rare giant phantom jellyfish, equipped with 30-foot arms that makes this ET understudy the length of a whale shark. And when I say rare, I mean this jelly's only been seen like 100 times in the history of mankind, so the fact that you're watching this right now is kind of wild. Then you have the deep-sea Dumbo octopus.
Thought it was like CGI, and it looked fake.
Itself into a ball to discourage predators
Real?
from eating it. And if this right here looks familiar, yeah, right to his thighs. The vampire squid does the inverse, as they'll turn themselves inside out and into their own personal panic whenever they're pressed by a possible predator. And how about a sea pig for you? Take everything I said about sea cucumbers and forget it for a second, because honestly, they're just really cute in a way I can't fully explain. But it's not hard to see what makes this squid instant serotonin. Rosia pacifica, or the stubby squid, is actually more like
that's
a
cool
cuttlefish.
for sure.
It's also a cuddly fish, and it's nature's apology letter for the sheer trauma it saturated the ocean with. It's actually real, and those arts and crafts looking eyes help it catch prey on a nocturnal schedule. It's also important as an environmental indicator, since scientists will often study their responses in terms of water pH and use that to determine how polluted the water is around them, which you would think would earn this anime octopus the respect of the scientific community. Well, you'd be wrong. There's a video where some scientists found one, and let me just say, not even Hiroshima got roasted that hard. But that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure you go ahead and drink water, hug your moms, go subscribe to Lindsay's channel, link will be in the description. Shout out to Lindsay for being in this video, and I'm gonna see y'all
when I see
in the next one.
Peace.
It's like like Davy Jones.
They look like googly eyes.
They look like they just painted them on.
Why are they flaming this man?
It looks so fake.
So some other aerobic team just came before and just left it here.
It's like some little kid dropped their toy.
Bro, they is cooking in an egg.
Oh man. He is awesome.
And it look like he can hear everything.
It's freaking me out.
I want to see him move.
It's a
Do something.
On me in his head is thinking, come close to me. And as I mean, hey, they talking all that. If they come close to that squid gonna be on bad timing. He gonna be on BT. Good video. Great video. I ain't gonna lie, that invisible fish was by far the coolest one. The little, I mean, I said invisible. The damn see-through fish. That was by far the coolest one. I don't care. Good video as always. Lindsay. Like, I know it's Lindsay, but I gotta say Lindsay now. It's Lindsay. That's how it's spelled. But she was great too. But with that being said, the space is better than the ocean. I still think that if hypothetically we knew everything, like we have footage of everything in space and all that, space would be a lot more scarier, bro. Like, there's no way. I don't know. Then again, you probably can't use that argument because it's like, well, we don't know what's in space. We know we've seen things in the ocean though, but we haven't seen it. But I don't know. Ocean is scary. You'll never catch me down there. Peace.